I'm Tom, and this is the driver's seat, and I was very heavily debating not making this today. I've had a few weeks off, obviously. I don't know if anyone's really noticed, but I've had a few weeks off. A mixture of just being really busy, like I had my car MOT'd, obviously work, the usual suspects. And today, along with the past few weeks, I've just been feeling really not happy, right? I've been feeling not great, and I was just thinking, I don't really want to put that out on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, don't air your dirty laundry. And I sort of thought to myself, that's kind of the whole point of this. You know, kind of the whole point of this series and these little vlogs, style videos, is that I am a bit vulnerable. And that's kind of the point of this space and what I'm trying to create here. So I am desperate for a wee. I've just got back home. I thought before I go in, I'll make this. So I'm quite desperate for the toilet. So I don't know how long it'll last. I've got some notes as I normally do. But obviously this is Men's Mental Health Month, right? June is Men's Mental Health Month. So that's what I'm going to try and focus on a little bit, is mental health as a whole, but I guess specifically men's mental health. So as always, parked up, you know, here I am outside mine. And if I'm honest, I didn't know June was Men's Mental Health Month, really. I mean, I always thought it was November. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe it's both. I don't know. Like, I always thought November was Men's Mental Health Month. Maybe November is just Mental Health Month. Maybe it's both. I don't know. I don't know how much we can say it's a month, right? Because typically, you know, Pride Month, Black History Month, there's a lot more going on about it. There's a lot of, you know, parades. Look at Pride Month, which is also June. There's parades going on. You know, Black History Month airs black shows, things like that. There's nothing really for Men's Mental Health Month. It's just something we say. It's Men's Mental Health Month. So I don't really know if you can classify. Can you classify it as Men's Mental Health Month just because we say it's? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one. And as I said, I didn't really know it was Men's Mental Health Month. But I'm glad there is a month. People need to make more noise about it. Mental health in general, and obviously, as I say, in terms of this month, more specifically, men's mental health. And I don't actually necessarily think there's that much of a stigma around talking about mental health anymore. That opinion has slightly shifted. I'd say this time last year, I didn't really think there was a stigma around men speaking out about their mental health. I just thought it was that people didn't speak out about their mental health. One of my brothers, two of my brothers attempted suicide. One of them's done it twice. The one that did it twice more recently, or his most recent one, was like a month ago. And he said that he knew he could reach out. Luckily, it didn't work. Luckily, you know, I mean, touch wood, it doesn't happen again. Anyway, he said that he didn't reach out because he knew he could. He didn't reach out because he knew that we'd talk him out of it, and he didn't want to be talked out of it. And that, I think, is kind of the story of perhaps a few men, not all men. I thought about a year ago that men knew they could reach out, they just didn't reach out for whatever reason. It being Men's Mental Health Month has actually changed my opinion of that. And the reason is, the majority of videos I've been seeing about Men's Mental Health Month is people mocking it. And that's what's made me realise it. You know, there's obviously that infamous TikTok video I'm sure you've all seen of that woman saying, you know, me when it's time to be a moment of silence for men's mental health, and she's dancing and whatever it is. And that's what it is. You know, there's a trend going on right now on TikTok of women saying, let's hear it for the man of the year. And it's just her ripping into a man, and whether he's trying to be constructive or not, it's the wrong time for that trend. And I feel like that's what this has been. That's why I know it's Men's Mental Health Month, because there's been a few videos I've seen, but the majority have been taking the mick out of it. All I've got to say to the women that are doing that, I hope to fucking God you're not in my position that I was in a month ago, waking up at 6 a.m. to a phone call that your brother's just overdosed. I hope to God you're not in the position I was in a month ago, where you're waiting in hospital all day, worried you might never see your brother again. I hope you're not in a position that thousands of people have been in, millions of people have been in, where they're getting a phone call, their husband, their father, their son, or their boyfriend has just attempted to take their own life. A lot of the time successfully, far more than it should be. It's all fun and games taking the mick out of it. And I am one of those people that think there's not really much that goes off, that's off of the table with regards to taking the mick out of people. That said, there's a time and a place. I just hope to God you're not in the position I was in, that you get a phone call, someone you really love and care about has attempted to take their own life, because then you fucking will not be laughing. I promise you, you will not be laughing then. It's a real shame we're in a position where that's something someone laughs about. And look, again, that's just mental health. That's not just men's mental health. I just hope these people that are taking the mick out of men's mental health don't get left in a position where they see the need to, or not see the need, but they end up in a position where someone they sincerely love and care about takes their own life. Because the jokes will very quickly stop. And that's kind of my spiel on that. And that's why my opinion went from the stigma around men's mental health is gone, because initially the stigma was that they couldn't talk. I used to think they could talk. It was just that they didn't want to talk. However, I do now think that it's more than that. And that stigma is almost becoming there again. So if there's someone that you care about, it being mental health month, someone you love, someone you care about, someone who may not even be struggling, doesn't even have to be a man, but particularly if it's a man, just fucking reach out. Just ask how they are. Just ask for a catch up to see them, because everyone makes these plans, and I'm guilty of it, of seeing their friend that they haven't seen for years, or seeing their family they haven't seen for a while. But they get busy, something comes up, and they then don't. And you never know when it will be too late. I think a lot of men are so quiet because they're afraid to look weak. A lot of men are so quiet because there's no safe space for a lot of men. They're taught to keep it in. They're taught that work's shit, keep it in. Home life is shit, there's no safe space. They're told that not getting on with what doesn't feel great is weak. And obviously it's not, but when you're kind of taught that you need to push through, you're a man, you need to carry on, you're an adult, well, sometimes you forget, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you forget that actually it's not okay to not be okay. Everyone says, oh, it's okay to not be okay. No, it's not. Not being okay is not okay. And that's what the danger is. People think not being okay is okay. And that's what makes people manically depressed and attempt suicide. Because they're not okay. That is not okay. But you need to accept that you're not okay. You need to accept that that is not okay, to then go forward and try and change that. Not being okay is not okay. You can not be okay for a short while. You can not be okay and you can try and improve that, but you can't not be okay and then never try to get better and just accept it's okay to not be okay. Because I've got news for you, it's fucking not. Life is far too short to not be okay. You need to be okay. You need to do everything you can to be okay, and not trying to change that is where we start to see people get depressed and awful things happen. Yeah, okay, sometimes attempted suicide or whatever, but also sometimes not. Also sometimes more than that. And that's a big issue. And look, it feels like when you're in that place, when you're feeling shit and things aren't okay, and what pushes you over the edge, that attitude of it's okay to not be okay, is still showing up. And that's real strength. but sometimes it's too much. When you're in a position, when you want to fight for your goals, you've got goals you want to work towards, you've got things you want to work towards, that because you're not feeling, but the problem is your battle should be trying to achieve your goal. Your battle should be that promotion at work, starting your own business. But sometimes you start off your battle as soon as you wake up, and just getting out of bed is a battle. Just eating good food for breakfast or eating breakfast is a battle. And when you're starting your day off with battles like that, sometimes those bigger battles, the more important battles for your future, like working towards your goals and starting your businesses, just seems so far out of reach. And that still turning up can sometimes, be the problem. Sometimes, still showing up, laughing with mates, having a good time, a good day, but really you're just sat there, you're drowning. You're drowning in an endless pit of just emotion and feelings, and it's hard, and you don't say anything because your mates are laughing and it seems okay, but obviously you're not. And that's that's the way it is. It's I just think you need to remember that being a man doesn't mean carrying everything on your own. It really doesn't. Men's mental health, having good mental health doesn't mean you need to carry everything on your own. That'd be silly. Of course it doesn't mean that. And the pressure to get on with things, the pressure, work, money, your goals, this mounts, and then we don't say anything because that's normal. Everyone's got work pressure, life pressure, goals, sports, gym, whatever it is, home life, relationship issues. Everyone's got, this is normal. And it mounts and it mounts and it builds and it builds and eventually it unleashes, and sometimes in all the wrong ways. We bury it because we think it's normal. But it's not. It's not normal. It's not okay to not feel okay. And I think, as I said at the start, I've been struggling pretty recently. I'm not pretend I haven't. And what helps me cope, there's a few things. Obviously, boxing, gym, rugby, journaling, content. I have outlets and channels that I look towards that help me cope. Boxing recently has been a real scope to funnel negative energy out. Rugby was my whole life growing up, was that. I write a lot. I do poetry. It's not good, but I write stories, I write poetry. And that's helped me a lot. And obviously now more recently, I've started creating content that I'm so passionate about. I love creating content. Genuinely, I love this. I love this so much. And if this could ever get to a point where it supports me, that really would be a dream come true because I love this. And that's allowed me to just create a space where these negative feelings aren't really there. I used to love boxing and sports more than all my mates. I couldn't talk to my mates about it. So that's why I started making content. Somewhere to talk, and I found people that want to talk to me about my passion, and I love it. And you need to find these places. You need to find these people and these things, ways to cope. If that's writing, if that's making voice notes, I've done that a few times where I make voice notes on my phone of just talking to myself, just getting it out and talking to a voice note. Maybe I'll listen to it back, maybe I won't, but getting it out and talking to myself via voice notes to cope. If that's what you need to do, then do that. I'm a big advocate for sports, walking, health and fitness. More so sports than just the gym, but any sort of physical activity, because a physically fit usually helps towards mentally fit. In fact, I'd say always helps towards mentally fit. And I'd say sports more than the gym, unless you've got a good group of homies to go to the gym with, because sports more often than not allows you to meet people. Even solo sports like boxing, where you're on your own, I'm still with my coach. Yeah, I'm still with a boxing gym full of other people that like boxing. Do you know what I mean? I'm still with all these people that are like-minded and like boxing, or rugby, the team. Whereas the gym is very much you're on your own. And I like that space where I go and I can have a chat to my mates at the boxing or rugby about anything, and we're like-minded. You know, that's why I think sports is a good proponent. Meet new people, but find an outlet. You know, talk to mates, talk to family. At least just say something before it's too late, before it's breaking point. Just say something. And you know, if I had a message, you're not soft, you're broken, you're human, and you've made it this far. You know what I mean? Like, feeling sad doesn't make you soft. It makes you human, and it means that you're broken. Doesn't mean the end. You've made it this far. Just keep going and talk to someone. Talking isn't weak. Bottling it all up, that's weak. Being able to swallow your pride and talk to someone and express how you're feeling in this moment with everything going on, that's not weak. Bottling it up until it gets to a point you can't do that and you feel no other way other than to take your own life, unfortunately that is a weakness, and it's a weakness that a lot of people do suffer with. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you just have to stay in the fight, you know. I don't have it all figured out. I don't have it all figured out at all, but I'm still in the fight. I'm willing to carry on and go until I do have it all figured out. And you've got to be willing and able to do the same. Just say something. Look, say something to someone. If you've got no one to say it to, drop it in these comments. Drop me an email. My DMs are open. Let me know. I've got DMs. I've got an email. I've got a comment section, and I do reply to every single comment ever on my YouTube channel. And I'll endeavour to keep doing that as long as I can. Reach out, talk. You know, you can do it to me anonymously, faceless. I wouldn't know what you look like. Just reach out to somebody and talk. I think that's kind of all I've got to say on this, people. Mental health matters, whether you're a man or a woman. Take care of yourself, people. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like, a comment, subscribe. You know how this stuff works, people. Peace.